everyone, it's Lynnea. Watercoloring is one of my favorite ways to add color to backgrounds or even to die cut images. And today I have a fun technique using some shimmer powders. These products are inexpensive and easy to work with, and not only do they add quick, vibrant color, but there is shimmer already built in, and I love to add shimmer to my cards, even if it's just a clear shimmer over a die cut image or adding some shimmer into my watercolors. I just like to have a little bit of sparkle in my cards. So I grabbed some new products from the LDRS Creative Summer 2022 collection. I have the Aspen leaves, Ginkgo leaves, and Myrtle leaves dies, and I'm going to be using the Amazing You Sentiment Stack stamp as well. And that's it for new products. Let's start off with that shimmery watercolor background. So here are the shimmer powders that I'm using. There are lots of different brands on the market. They all pretty much work the same. They come in these little bottles and it's super concentrated color in a powder form. I like to start with my lightest color. So today I'm using yellow, blue, and red, the primary colors, so that they can mix and create different colors where they kind of overlap and mix into each other. I like to start with my lightest color, especially if it's yellow, because yellow kind of tends to get eaten up and overtaken. So I'll start with yellow, and I just kind of put that all over a piece of watercolor cardstock. I am using a large 8.5 by 11 full sheet of cardstock so that I can cut a whole bunch of those leaf dice. I added my yellow, spritzed it with water, and then I dried that with a heat tool. You can add all your color at once and add water, but I found that I got muddier colors. And when I do it this way, my colors are easier to kind of keep separate. So here you can see when I add the blue, I have areas of blue, I still have areas of yellow, but I have areas where the blue and the yellow have mixed to create green. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my red, and you'll see that I'm getting now a more rainbow and color effect. All of those colors are kind of mixing together and making a really pretty background. And here you can see all of that shimmer. So not only do I have that color that was really quick and easy to create, but I have built-in shimmer. Now I'm going to grab those dies, the Aspen leaves, the Ginkgo leaves, and the Myrtle leaves dies. And I'm going to cut down my pieces of cardstock to make it easier for me to cut through my die cutting machine. I just have a regular, 6 by 9 inch plate system die cutting machine. So I couldn't put this whole thing through all at the same time. So I chose a couple, I die cut them. And one thing to keep in mind is that this is watercolor cardstock. It is quite thick, and these dies are quite fine. And so what I like to do is kind of wiggle the paper. When I add those die cuts and run it through my machine, I just wiggle my paper back and forth, and the leafy portions will start to pop out. And then from there, I work my way down towards that actual little stem of the leaf die cut. I die cut a whole bunch of these, and I'm going to start just playing around, adding them onto my piece of cardstock that will be my card base, and just kind of add these here and there wherever I think that they're going to go. And I'm going to just fill up my backgrounds as best as I can. I did that whole piece of watercolor cardstock. I did that whole thing for a reason, so that I could have lots and lots of colored pieces. Once I have them kind of figured out where I want them to go, I'm going to spray them with a spray adhesive. This has been, after playing around with these dies, this has been the way to go for me for adhering these. You can definitely use a liquid adhesive, but it's quite tedious to use a liquid adhesive for these. And if you are die cutting with a double-sided adhesive, I found that sometimes it was difficult because this is such a fine die. So I found after lots of playing around that using a spray adhesive in a ventilated area, just spraying into like a cardboard box, was definitely the way to go. You can see here how quickly this background is coming together now that I've sprayed the back of those dies. And I'm using every little bit of this. So any piece that hangs off, I'm going to trim with my scissors and then use that again in maybe a smaller area that needs to be filled in. I filled up a whole bunch of backgrounds, used my scissors to trim off the excess, and I created two backgrounds that were fully covered, and then I had one little piece left, and so I just put that along the left-hand side of a card. I'm now going to grab the Amazing You Sentiment Stack. This is one of two new sentiment stacks from the Summer 2022 collection, and it's definitely my favorite. There are lots of encouraging messages in here, and I think that's perfect to send to friends and family these days. So I'm going to grab this and put this in my stamping platform. You can see this is one 4x4 stamp with multiple sentiments on one stamp that you can stamp once and die cut once. So I stamped and heat embossed that in white onto some black cardstock, and now I am grabbing the sentiment stack 2 die. I prefer the blunt straight edge, but the sentiment stack coordinating die, the very first one that LDRS produced, has a banner edge. I like this flat blunt edge better, so that's the only reason that I used this one. I did stamp and heat emboss 2 sets of these because this is something that I foresee using on a bunch of my cards. So I figured while I had my supplies out, I might as well go ahead and stamp multiples of this. But you can see how you can stamp once, die cut once, and get a whole bunch of sentiment strips. I'm going to grab a few of these and just start adding them, playing around with them, and adding them to my cards. I'm not so much paying attention to the sentiments because the great thing about these sentiment stacks is that they all kind of go together. What I'm paying attention to is I wanted to have 3 different widths of sentiments to kind of create that staircase look on my card and stack these sentiment strips together and make that just pleasing to the eye. So I'm using 3. That's one of the big rules of card making, is the rule of 3. The odd numbers look better to your eye. So I'm just kind of creating a staircase effect with these, and then I'll even add a few onto that card. That's kind of my bonus card, my extra card, where I just had that one like half a leaf portion left. I'm going to use my T-square ruler, and I have mounted these sentiment strips up with foam tape since that's going to be the only little bit of dimension on my card, and I'm just going to add them onto each of my cards. And that's it. Really simple, really easy. I hope that you love this set of cards. I love them. I love that splash and variety of color in the background along with the shimmer, and then those sentiment strips on top are just perfect. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have listed and linked all of the LDRS creative products that I used in the video description below. Thanks again for watching, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Bye!